Please hold the line. We will answer your call as soon as possible.
Welcome to this edition of Please Hold. Today my guest is Joe Fernandez, who is the co-founder and CEO of Joymode. Joymode gives you access to everything that you want to use but don't want to own. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks.
So I first want to talk about your education. You went to the University of Miami.
That's right, the U.
And it's got an interesting reputation, University of Miami.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time in school?
I think the reputation of University of Miami is pretty different from the reality. It's actually like a pretty small school.
Okay.
And the city of Miami overruns the school, so I had a reasonable time, but it wasn't like, it's not what I think probably people imagine Miami being like.
So you weren't just on the beach every day, hanging out, you did real work?
A little bit of work, not a lot of hanging out. I really had no money, and I lived on campus all 4 years in the dorm, so it wasn't super glamorous at all. Weather was good.
The weather's great
Yeah,
in Miami.
weather was good, but it wasn't super glamorous.
Tell me about the academic side of things, because I went to USC and got a business degree.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you got the same experience I had, but it was basically the degree became a very small part of my entrepreneurial education. It was mostly talking to entrepreneurs, watching them, seeing what they do, reading books, guest speakers. It wasn't, this is now a business plan and a feasibility analysis and sort of the mini MBA track.
Yeah.
Were you a good student? Did you get a lot out of the academic side?
Actually, so I had very high grades, but did not graduate. And then a weird thing I had, I think you need 120 credits to graduate. I think I have 140 credits, but in all the wrong class. I don't have credits that add up to a degree. So I went 4 years, have more than 120 credits, and did not graduate. Which is maybe the dumbest thing ever. And I just took classes that I thought were interesting. A lot of those were in business. Not a lot of those have served me very well. I think to your point, you learn more playing the game than you do studying the game. The one class that I probably relate back to the most was a public speaking class. It was actually tangibly helpful. Yeah, but I had kind of a weird college thing.
Were you trying to be one of the cool tech kids that dropped out before that became cool? Was that...
No, I literally went 4 years of school and all the way through and have more credits than you need to graduate.
Was that an accident? Did you think you were graduating and then they're no, you can't walk?
There's no rational explanation for it, except that I just thought the required courses were stupid, and I didn't take them.
You showed them.
Taught them a lesson.
So a few years after college, well, almost 7-8 years after you didn't graduate, you co-founded Clout. You ran it as its CEO, and it was 7 years and change before it was acquired.
Yeah.
I remember being at Le Web, I want to say 2011 in London, I think. And you were on stage with Alexia from TechCrunch.
Yeah.
And she was giving you a really hard time. And I think the crux of her argument was Michael Arrington cannot possibly have a higher clout score than Barack Obama. That just makes no sense. The system doesn't work.
Right.
And you were defending it. Tell me about that. What was so controversial about Clout?
I mean, there were a lot of things controversial about Clout. Clout struck a nerve in the sense that this new medium of social media came on the scene, and people were trying to figure out did it matter? Did it not matter? You went from MySpace, where it was felt like it was clearly a kid's thing, to now all of a sudden well, Twitter feels a little bit more substantive, and LinkedIn is a whole other thing, and what does this stuff mean? And we kind of planted a flag in it and said we're the arbitrators of influence. And we didn't just plant the flag, we came up with a number and put it next to your face. And
was it for every Twitter user automatically? You had to sign up for Clout?
It was everyone.
Okay.
So at this point, more than 1 billion people have Clout scores.
Whether they want them or not.
Whether they want them or not. It's opt out, not opt in.
Okay.
Good
growth hacking technique.
So we did things that piss people off, and we got among the things we got flack for some very deservedly, but among those things was this how can you tell me? The one we would always get is how can you say Justin Bieber is more influential than Barack Obama?
Was it Bieber, not Arrington?
Yeah, it was Bieber was higher score.
Okay.
Literally, it was the BBC ran a show about how stupid we were because we said Bieber was more influential.
Wait, is he more influential on Twitter anyway?
I mean, it was so we actually showed data that here is within the same 20-minute window, Obama and Bieber each shared a YouTube link, and the Obama one got 14,000 clicks, and the Bieber got one 2 million in the next few hours. So my feeling was you're not mad at Nielsen when the top-rated show is Jersey Shore or something stupid, as opposed to an educational show on PBS.
Right.
Why are you mad at? We're not.
You're just the messenger.
Yeah, we're not. This wasn't an editorial curated. Here's the data. Here's why. Here's proof that the data is real. But we certainly got a lot of flack from that. And as the score evolved, we added more and more signals. Wikipedia became a signal, and a bunch of other things, where that became less of an issue. But in those early days, it was
Who had the highest score? Or I guess that changes.
It changed over time. Obama ended up with a 99. And I think Bieber dropped to a 97.
Oh man.
And I don't know kind of where it is now.
Did you ever get the equivalent of a takedown notice for a cloud score? Were people upset to be on the platform without their permission?
Got all sorts of stuff. I mean, literally got death threats.
Why'd you get death threats?
It all started, we changed the algorithm, and a lot of people's scores dropped. And if you Googled Clout phone number, my cell phone came up. And so hashtag Occupy Clout was trending on Twitter for 2 days with my phone number. It said call the Clout CEO, Joe Fernandez, to complain about your Clout score.
Oh my God.
And people were people were very emotional about it because it was tied to their status and their self perception, and it was when you Google yourself and your name comes in 5th instead of 1st, you're maybe a little annoyed at Google, but when you go to Clout and your number next to your face dropped from 60 to 48, it was a very visceral reaction, and people get riled up.
Something went right? Because you were able to sell this company. You did well.
Yeah.
Your investors did well. What went right enough to make this valuable for the world to eventually be acquired?
Yeah, I'm really proud of what we built, and specifically the team we built, and what they enabled us to achieve. I had done a lot of things in the past that were maybe right idea, wrong time, and even more things that were wrong idea anytime. So it was fun with Clout that it was really was right product, right time. The world was changing. Everybody was a broadcaster, and every form of broadcast media, from print to TV to radio, had been measured. So the fact that we were measuring it, it was just a very timely thing. And when you went beneath the surface of the Clout score and the hype, there was actually our API had still has billions of transactions a day. It's one of the top 3 or 5 most used APIs in all of tech.
Wow.
And tons of businesses, from hotels in Vegas, where it's built in the reservation system, where you check into a hotel and they upgrade your room because of your Clout score, or you call for support and a 1-800 number, and they route your call to a manager because of your Clout score. Things people don't even know about. And then we also worked with like more than half of the Fortune, or the like Edelman Top 100 advertisers at the Adweek Top 100. It's been a while since I've been in that world, but
but these are all the top influencers that advertisers want to reach, hotels want to please, customer service reps care about.
Yeah, so we had like a real business. Like we were, doing double digits, millions of revenue, and like growing, and so there was the like, people. Clout Score became a meme, but the like clout business was like a legit thing.
Do you think you would have made it without all that controversy? Did that get you a lot of press that really helped things?
Yeah, it's tough to say. It was kind of our like best asset and worst enemy. Cause like, if you go on Amazon, I think there's 8 books about clout, and another like 20 or 30 where clout is like a meaningful thing. And like, clout was big in Japan and big in Brazil and like all around the world. And so the press and hype fueled that, and like, we could get meetings with anybody, and we like, when I started, there was probably 5 other companies trying to do influence scores, and we just like became the standard. Press fueled a lot of that, but it also kind of betrayed the value beneath the water, and the score was just like a small portion of what we did. You grew up in Vegas, right? You went to Miami for school. You came back to LA after graduation, or I wrote this before I knew you didn't graduate. So after non-graduation. Moving on from transitioning.
Transitioning from a school you didn't graduate from, but you stayed there for 4 years.
I have more credits.
You were in New York for a couple years, Singapore for a little bit, but you kept coming back to California. What's so special about this state, and why are you now in LA?
Yeah, LA's really been my favorite place. Like, I've lived in a bunch of places, and I came to LA first in 2000, like right after college, and was here 5 years. And
what brought you to LA? You just liked it?
I actually got a job out of school that moved me to LA as an engineer. And so I moved to LA for work, and then I stayed here, for like the next 5 years, and then went to New York for 5 years, and then San Francisco for 6 years, and came back.
Did you need to do clout in San Francisco to make it work?
I think so. I think, at that time, 2007, 2008.
Very different time.
It was different, and we were doing big data. Like, when I left clout, we were processing like 20 billion pieces of information a day.
Wow.
Most of our engineering team, like, we hired from Google and we hired from Facebook, and like those types of folks and that type of computing and kind of analysis was just more available up there, and we were building on top of Twitter and Facebook. So it was really important to me to be like best friends with those guys. Mm-hmm. Like, our actual office, our first office in San Francisco, was in the Twitter building, like right beneath them, and use that to like build relationships and kind of be in that world.
Do you think today that'd be any different, or you still would need to be up there to build that type of company?
I think it's you have a lot more options today. I think for clout, you still might have had like most, like what we're building at Joymode, I don't consider like super hard tech. Mm-hmm. Clout was super hard tech. Like, we got 20 or 30 patents and like built some pretty amazing stuff. Most startups aren't like that, and I think actually being in San Francisco is to your detriment. Clout, I think, is maybe one of the few companies that it could make sense.
Yeah. Your Twitter profile says you're trying to get enough beans to make a burrito. And I've known you for a while, and you're pretty obsessed with Mexican food, as am I. What's the best taco you've ever had, and how do you compare the food between SoCal and Northern California?
I think down here is definitely better. There's a couple good spots up there. Like, it's not bad up there at all, but like.
Is there one best taco you've had in your life?
Oh man, that's tough. I have tacos for all the different moods. And
I've never heard that there's different tacos for different moods.
There is, yeah.
Okay.
And our office for Joymode is in downtown LA, and we as a team go to lunch in like Boyle Heights and East LA and Lincoln Heights and places that like.
It's basically Mexico.
Yeah, and like where a lot of Angelenos don't go, and get to, we go deep in the taco scene.
So let's talk about Joymode. It's your latest startup. There's this ongoing trend, especially among younger consumers, to not want to own stuff. I don't want to own a car, I'll just Uber. I don't want to buy fancy clothes, so I'll do Rent the Runway.
Yeah.
On and on. Is it that simple? Is Joymode just filling the gap for stuff I might need but just don't want to own?
A little bit. I mean, I hate owning stuff, and that's kind of where this started. And I found that I didn't do things like there were things like my wife and I never went camping. She's from Montana, and like we've never gone camping because I was like never wanted to buy camping stuff. And I hate the idea of being constrained by physical belongings. So I think Joymode is timely in that there's this mega trend that people care more about experiences than they do ownership. And it's literally thousands of years of like your status being based on like how many oxen you own, or like how far in the suburbs you move to fill your house with crap. To now it's like, how great is your Instagram feed? And your Instagram feed is great because of all the cool stuff you do. And like, you live in a city and you live in a small apartment and you don't want to own stuff. Like that change is happening right now. So, there is we're betting on this trend that people want to own fewer things, but we're also enabling people to do way more things than they would have imagined. It's very common for somebody to use Joymode and say like, oh, I never thought of hosting a movie night in my backyard, but because you'll deliver the screen, the projector, the speakers, an old-timey popcorn machine, everything I need, and I can push a button and it comes to me, like, that sounds awesome, I'll totally do that. So we're also opening the door for things that you may not have known you wanted to do.
What's the craziest experience that you guys have hosted?
And we've got over 100 experiences now, and we add a new experience almost every week. So one of the funny ones I really like is we have a Nerf Battle Royal, it's called, and it tends to be used for companies, like in offices. We'll drop off like 50 Nerf guns. And not just the Nerf guns, but like smoke machines, fog machines, and strobe lights, and animal onesies, and Nerf gun GoPro attachments.
Wow.
So that you can
Sounds very comprehensive.
So you can go crazy on like reenacting World War II.
Do you guys test all this stuff yourselves before you?
Yeah, I mean we have to. Yeah. So it's like part of the job.
Sounds hard.
Yeah.
What's the most popular experience?
There's a group of experiences that are really popular, like first-time experiences. So like backyard movie night, which I've talked about. Our virtual reality stuff. We have like the Oculus and the PlayStation VR and a bunch of different VR kits. Camping is really popular. Beach stuff is really popular. A lot of those are like kind of the on-ramps. And they're great because they're things you do with your friends, so it's a great introduction to Joymode for other people. It's really interesting though because what we see in the ongoing engagement is a lot of times, like our cleaning experience is super popular. It's a high-end Dyson vacuum, a steam mop, and a stain remover, and we've got 5 or 6 sets of them, and they're out every weekend.
Wow.
We've got an overnight kit, which is like a really high-end inflatable mattress, sheets, pillows, blankets, towels, everything if you're having a guest but don't have a guest room. We have like tools that, simple tools, like you're just moving into an apartment and you want to hang pictures.
Do you have a painting experience?
We don't have a painting one yet. That is on the list.
I guess that's a consumable too. Maybe
yeah, so we're and we do have some consumable-ish things, but so it's an interesting mix between group activities and really utility-driven things.
What do you think the limits are to, I know you don't like to use the word rental, but I'm just
Yeah.
going to call it the not wanting to own but use economy. Am I one day going to rent a crib for my newborn, and then when my daughter's big enough, I'm going to get a twin bed and rent that, and then when she's big enough, I might get a bigger bed? And like, is this going to apply to everything in my life, or is it limited to experiences or things I might do less often?
I think it's pretty broad, actually. There's no doubt we are all going to continue to own things. What we want to make possible is that you can own fewer things that are higher quality that you care more about. And we both have young kids, and like it's actually a great example where they like quickly either grow out of or lose interest in lots of stuff. So like we haven't really attacked that market yet, but I think there's a lot of potential. But we are constantly surprised with the use cases that our customers come to us and say like, hey, do you guys have this? I wish I could get this from Joymode instead of buying it.
That's a great source of
Yeah, we love
products.
it. We love like being inspired by our members for sure.
So you and I had our first kid around the same time. You're slightly ahead of me. How has this affected you as an entrepreneur? Are you still as ambitious? Do you still put in as much time, or are your trips shorter and your meetings are a bit shorter because you want to get home?
It's definitely different. The one thing that's been really lucky, this stage of Joymode, we are only focused on LA. So there's like not really a reason for me to travel. So I've done less travel in the last year or so than like almost any time in my life, which has been really nice for the family. I work about the same. It's shifted. I'm a really early morning person in general. So like, I used to be at the office at Cloud super early. Now morning is when I spend with kids, and I show up at the office like 9 or 10. I end up staying late when, I usually don't get to see kids before they go to sleep, but I'll be at the office. The hardest part is I knew at Clout if I needed to power through a weekend, so I can be in the office, I could do it. It's just it's not really as much of an option now. So that means I have to be really focused on what I need to accomplish each day, and so I'm a lot more ruthless, I suppose, with
your time,
delegating and time management, because I know that there's not slack where I could catch up if I need to.
Yep, that makes sense. What do you think the biggest threat to Joymode is? If you're really successful and Amazon looks at the space and they're like, we have all this stuff in our warehouse, we can ship overnight, why don't we just do this? I mean, is that what keeps you up at night, or what do you think is the biggest threat?
Weirdly, I'm a lot more worried about Netflix than I am Amazon.
Really? Explain
that. So yeah, Amazon, obviously an amazing company, obviously could do just about anything they put their mind to. And they do have warehouses kind of not just across the country, but in multiple in every city. They are built for hundreds of thousands, millions of things to go out, and 1% of stuff to come back as returns. It's non-trivial to actually flip that to be everything that goes out comes back. The process and changes that requires are and at the scale they are at, not that they couldn't do it if they put their mind to it, but it's not a shoot, let's try it and see what happens. It's it would take a lot of work. When I say I'm more worried about Netflix, our real challenge is, even though we make it really easy for you to go camping or go to the beach or do any number of things, it will always be easier to sit on your couch and watch Netflix. And
So you're competing with people doing lazier
Nothing.
stuff
Yeah.
or nothing.
And like that, like, you know, I call it like the war on busyness. It's really easy for everybody to say like, oh, let's totally do that, but not this weekend. And like that is our real challenge.
Interesting.
It's also our real opportunity. I think the Joymode brand has the potential to stand for like, I want to spend time with my friends and family in the real world. I'm a person who goes and does stuff and doesn't just sit on the couch. But like, I feel like I'm more afraid of Netflix than Amazon.
For people watching this, if they hear about Joymode and they're like, wow, I really want to try that out, where are you live today and where aren't you live?
Yeah, so right now we are just in LA.
Okay.
And a pretty big chunk of LA, but still expanding. You know, the goal is, I think what we saw in the last few years with a lot of these localized companies is they like overexpanded and then kind of contracted. We really want to get LA right and get our legs under us. We have a kind of company value that like we will not let your experience fail. Like if you get a karaoke machine from us, it's not acceptable to have 20 people at your house excited about karaoke and like the plug, we forgot to deliver the plug and you can't use it, or just it's confusing to use and you can't use it. Like, so we've really methodically grown like step by step so that like we get these things right and your experience is guaranteed to be amazing.
Do you have 24/7 customer service then
Yeah,
as a result?
yeah, and like
Is it your cell phone number still?
it's well, we have, you can chat through the app and you will always get somebody.
Okay.
And if you call in, it will like ring everybody.
Wow.
So we want to get LA right. Hopefully in 2018 we'll be ready to expand to more cities. But yeah, this is a company I want. I think we have a chance to build something really important, and it's okay for it to take time to accomplish that. So I'm not rushing to be in 50 cities tomorrow.
The patience and wisdom of a seasoned entrepreneur.
Right.
Thanks for being on today.
Thank you.
Did you like what you just saw? You want to see more? Go ahead and subscribe. We have new episodes every Tuesday. And if there's someone you want to see on the show, just add them as a comment down below. We'll take a look and we'll have them on if we can. Thanks again.